Welcome to Co-op Mode. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I'm your host, Todd Oxtra. And folks, as always, remember to rate and subscribe on our YouTube and iTunes channels. That lets people know that you're watching and you care, and also gives us feedback on how we're doing and how we can be better, and also tell us what we should be talking about on our shows. But with that, we'll go further notice. Who you see and who you will eventually hear is not Mark Carabin, the Canardian. No. It is another member of the Secret Friends Unite family, Mr. Rich Davenport. How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very, very good. Mark, our number one Sony pony, as I always call him, even though he is not really a Sony fan, is out and about. We're doing a special episode for the PlayStation Showcase from 2021. And because of that, I was looking to bring in some other people who are, I know, fans of Sony, which helps. If I brought in an enemy of Sony, it would probably not be a very good discussion, although I like to understand why people don't like Sony. That's fine.
Sure.
So, and Rich, it's funny because I actually secured your PlayStation 5.
You did.
As I did at the beginning, I was like the Pied Piper, I guess, I don't know, Santa Claus of consoles. And I was able to secure consoles for several of my friends, which is great. I wasn't, turning them on the black market or anything. So, but yeah, Rich, you are a co-host on the Code 47 podcast with Charlie, but you do a lot of other things. So tell people, if they've never seen you before, a little bit about yourself and what you do on the interwebs.
Sure. I do a lot of podcast hosting. I have two shows of my own. Great Disturbances, which is a Star Trek podcast, or Star Wars podcast, excuse me, that I do with my friend Paul Moderman. And then my wife and I have a show called The View from the Couch, which is a movie review podcast. But she actually had to bow out recently, and we are going to roll in some guest hosts until she is able to come back. Todd is going to be one of those guest hosts, as a matter of fact.
Very excited for that. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I've been on your podcast before, and it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. We love having guests, so it's going to be really cool.
Excellent. Yeah, and Rich, you were brought into the Secret Friends Unite family for Code 47. Charlie had original host, and that changed, and now he has you and Aaron. You guys are doing a lot of new things, which is great. You finally cajoled Charlie into doing video, which is awesome, because I always say getting our faces in more places is important. It puts reactions. It gives you the whole of someone versus just their voice. So I think it's fun. I like it, and I think it really shows kind of our excitement about the things we love. So it's even one step further. So very exciting. So and Rich, like I said, you're a video game guy too, which helps. And Charlie is not. So that's why I started the show. So, and Mark had finally got a day away. He and his wife went to a wedding. So those crazy kids are probably passed out, or actually they're probably up because their son got them up already. So they probably have no rest for the wicked, but that's okay. Yeah.
They have a pretty young son, so I don't think.
Absolutely. Or he's still at the grandparents, and maybe they are having, a little bit of relaxation, but we'll see when he tells me all about it on the next episode. But yeah, this podcast is all going to be about the PlayStation Showcase. I think in the future we will do more of these standalone events, because they don't always, when you do a bi-weekly podcast, you miss a lot, and so you kind of gloss over things, and we don't focus heavily on the news on our show either. So, but I think this one's exciting because I am a dyed-in-the-wool PlayStation fan. But Rich, people need to know a little bit more about your video game background, and so we play a little game that apparently I might have stole from your podcast.
I don't think you did. I think it just kind of came naturally. I don't know that
could have, because I've loved the game Mary Boff Kill, whatever you call it, with video games. I said, let's buy, rent, return, back in the days when you could rent games at like Blockbuster, and systems as well. So we're going with systems, and so this is all about the systems from our past, essentially. So Rich, we've got 3 systems we're going to choose between today. That's going to be the PlayStation 2.
Ooh.
It is going to be the Genesis, and it is going to be, I don't want to give you one that's too early, but why not? I'll give you the 360, Xbox 360. So essentially, we're getting systems that are not necessarily they debuts, but actually they're all follow-ups from the original console. So there we go. That's our theme. The sophomore consoles. So where would you put those with your buy, rent, return?
Wow, that's tough. That's tough. Those are 3 good consoles. So I got to think about the games that were on those consoles, specific to those consoles. I
Oh,
think
you don't want
so.
to do it just on design and the Genesis headphone jack.
I love that headphone jack. It had that little slider for the volume.
Yeah,
That was
so weird.
great. I
Yeah.
never used it. I used it one time, and then I realized I didn't have a headphone cord long enough, so I
Uh,
had to sit right up against the TV.
the
So
history of console features that never get used. Yeah.
no, no, never got used. So it's kind of like the PlayStation 5 camera.
Or the
Um,
PlayStation 2 hard drive bay /
oh
network
God,
adapter.
that's right. Oh man, yeah,
Or
I wasn't
360 faceplates. Yeah.
right. I mean, I was never connected to the internet until PlayStation 3.
Well, it
I
was
wasn't
dial
involved
up
at all.
and dial up connections, really.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so if I had to pick a keep, I would say if we were talking PlayStation 3, I would keep the PlayStation 3. But I think what I'm going to say is I would keep the I would buy the 360 because the 360 was Halo 2, well, not Halo 2, Halo 3, and Gears of War, which were a lot of fun. Um, and then PlayStation 2 probably would be the rent, and I think I would probably return the Genesis if we're talking strictly on hardware, right? Because I think the PlayStation 2 had a lot of things going for it, but I don't think it had the power or the abilities that the 360 had. And the 360 started giving us like online gaming and being able to connect with friends that were not in the room with you. And I kind of appreciated that. I mean, it was a short courtship, but it was a fun. It burned hot like fire and then went to embers. But it was. I think that's where I'd go with
Okay, good to know. And when you talked about the hardware, I thought immediately of the Xbox 360 Red Ring of Death. So I'm like,
it. I
but
never had
PlayStation was,
that.
yeah, PlayStation. I didn't either. But what was it? What was the game? Dishonored is the game that killed my 360. Just would
Oh
not play
my.
that game. Yeah, so that's when I said, okay, time to get rid of it and do something else. Yeah, and the PlayStation always notorious for their drives, their disk drives. It's like that's
Yeah.
the first thing to go. Happened on my PS1. Had to turn that bad boy upside down. PS2. I think it might have been the fact that I had it modded when I was in Korea, and
Uh,
hijinks ensued there. But no more. Those. I don't think I can be held for my modding crimes that many years later in foreign countries. I think the jurisdiction is out there. Maybe what is it? What's the international crime agency that would get me?
Interpol. Interpol.
Yeah, Interpol.
Interpol would get after you.
Guys,
Yep.
I'm in international waters. Can't get me. Okay. Yeah, for myself, I mean, you make really good points. And it's funny because Genesis was the system I actually rented. I never owned one. So I'd rent
Oh,
it
nice.
from the local video store. I'd play games like Sonic. I'd play Cyberball. I'd play Altered Beast. And I always had a blast with that system. It just was such a different experience than Nintendo at the time that I'd gotten
Right.
used to, where it was like the games are a little bit more edgy. And I fell into their marketing of Sega does what Nintendo don't. So, but yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's gonna be a return just because I honestly never kept it, and I never experienced those games fully. I played them for a
Sure.
couple hours, and then I never really got deep. So obviously, I would have bought it if the games really dragged me in, but they never did.
Yeah.
And I've now essentially revisited that whole library on the Sega Genesis collection on
Oh
Switch.
yeah.
So I've got all those, and I barely touch those games again. So I'll go return on the Genesis, and the next one's really hard. But to your point, I've always been a Sony fan, but and I've owned every Sony console. I've owned every Xbox console, excluding the PSP. Never owned the PSP. But the PS2 just still was at that point where Sony just didn't have first party firing on all cylinders. And I
Yeah.
think that's when I truly love Sony, was when their first party games was the reason you bought the console versus just having all the games, because the PS2 had all of the games.
Right.
But they had very few that I would say that were, and a lot were exclusive to Sony just because they had the volume and they were just doing things that 360 just was trying to, or well, it wasn't 360 time, it was the original Xbox and was it the GameCube?
Yeah. It would have
Yes.
been GameCube at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, because of that, GameCube just struggled. So yeah, that's where you basically could play almost every game except it was a Xbox or a Nintendo exclusive. So I'd say I'd rent the PlayStation 2 because I look back at that catalog and I'm like, I didn't have any like my favorite games or ever on that console. So, but I had some games I loved. And then 360 though, that's where Xbox became Xbox. To your point, the
Yeah.
games they finally delivered and what they did on that console. I mean, I bought Xbox 360 because of Mass Effect,
Oh,
and
sure. Yeah,
because I
that was
played on
great.
PC and I had major PC issues with that game, but I played on 360, borrowed it from a game from a friend, and loved it. So and I didn't have the problem other people did with 360, but I just really enjoyed that console so much, and I think it really set them on their course to the fan base they have today. And obviously, they had the I don't want to call it the sophomore struggle with Xbox One, but yeah, I think they're back now, which everybody does. Seems like that's the cycle,
Yeah,
and we're
definitely.
we're seeing Sony trying not to, but they're really stumbling sometimes at times with the PS5 versus the PS4. Oh well,
Yeah.
well that's great. I mean, guys, let us know what you think of those consoles, your memories, what you'd pick, and maybe why we're wrong, and that's perfectly fine as long as you don't, threaten us with like bodily harm or sending, Kratos after us. Oh well.
Or
Uh,
Interpol.
or Interpol, please do not. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please do not track me down. Oh well. And Rich, before we get into the Sony showcase, very quickly, any games you've been playing that you're really excited about?
Right now, I am working through Avengers again
Okay.
because of the Black Panther DLC that dropped a little while ago. And other than that, I have been playing a lot of Call of Duty, Black Ops Cold War. I hate it, but I can't stop playing it. It seems to be the leitmotif when it comes to Call of Duty. Is you just there's things that
Mm-hmm.
you don't like about it, but you still play it because it's like maybe they'll get to that point where it's like the old Call of Duty, right? But it never does. And then I play Fortnite with my son, so we play a lot of Fortnite. And
You should get on that with Mark. Mark is always playing Fortnite.
yeah, we've tried a couple of times, or we've talked about it a couple of times, but we haven't actually hooked up yet. But yeah, we that takes up a lot of time. The other games that I play is just it's just a few things here and there. Over on the Xbox One, I've been playing MLB The Show 21
Okay.
because I didn't want to buy it and they had it on Game
Why
Pass.
not?
So
Well, it's on Game Pass. That's
I
exactly the
feel
point.
yeah, I feel a little dirty because it's a Sony game, but why should I feel dirty about it? I mean, it's the game. They're still getting their money for me playing it on Game Pass, so it's fine.
Sony's making money. Xbox has more games. It's
There
it's
you
it's
go.
it's all good.
There you go.
Um, Very good, very good. Well, very quickly, Rich, I just got a game from I bought. It was on sale. It's called It Takes Two, and it's
Hmm.
on PS4/PS5. And I really want to play it, but I need friends to play it with. So, Rich, I
Oh,
want you to
sure.
be my friend and play it with me because the cool thing about that game is you buy the copy and anybody can play it with you for free
Oh,
online.
nice.
A co-op only game.
Oh,
It's
okay.
by
All
the
right.
guy, the guy who designed that game, Joseph Ferris, I think is his name. He made A Way Out, and I think he made Brothers, where he makes his games are exclusively co-op.
Okay.
But this one's very cool. Yeah, it's basically an online pass for anyone. It's not cross play where you can play with Xbox people, but it's if it's you own a PS4, you can play with PS5, and it's free for the person you're playing with. Just one person has to own the game. It's like the old way when you had own a Nintendo DS, I think, where you could then uh, you could send your game to the other person
Oh,
and they could
yeah,
play
that's
with you.
right.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I would love to do that because I've heard it's fantastic. It's kind of a weird game about this couple who are fighting and divorcing, and somehow it's like the Parent Trap, but the kid is the one apparently who does something bad and causes magic to happen, and you basically get with your spouse and you're basically transported into um, your house, but you're small. And it's
Oh,
kind of like Honey, I Shrunk My Parents,
oh
but
no.
it's kind of that whole you have to work together. So maybe it's going to help this couple learn to work together. So it's like many layers of excitement. But I heard that the platforming is excellent, and it's almost like it uses so many different mechanics and game types that it's always surprising you. So I want
Nice.
to play that game a lot, but I've heard so many good things about it.
Sure. Yeah, I would love to play that with you. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we'll set some time up and play that up. I just have to get in my PlayStation, and then obviously when you've got some free time, we'll carve it out, and maybe we make it a Rich Todd game night.
There you go. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it could be our date night. Very nice.
There you go.
Well, before we do get into the PlayStation news, just very quickly, we're doing our design contest for the Xbox controller for Sean Nihas and his kids. Once again, he's donating $100 each for each design to the charity of the winner. It's very easy, folks. His daughter likes Minecraft, light blue, purple colors, and his son he's 8. He likes Captain America, but he also loves gaming across the board. So if you create a design on Xbox Design Light, very easy, just take snapshots of it, but make sure you remember how you designed it, because when they pick it, they want to build these controllers. They'll select the winner, and you will get $100 for the charity of your choice. I've already designed mine too. Rich, time for you to do it.
I know we're working on it. I got to get. It'll probably be a couple of days here, but I got to get my son
Not a
involved.
problem.
So we'll get that. We will get ours in.
Yep. So the deadline for submission is the 17th, and we will announce our winner on the next episode of Co-op Mode, which will debut on the 23rd. So
Nice.
There you go. So that is it for what we've been up to, what we've been playing, and a little bit about Rich. So now we're getting into the meat of the show. This is all about the PlayStation Showcase 2021. Sony was really quiet in 2021, and people were wondering when they were actually going to have something to say. They skipped E3, which is kind of their thing now. They're like, why do we pay all this money to be at E3 when there's not actually, you're just paying to have like a presence there, but they're doing all the heavy lifting. And they're also saying we're in the middle of all the noise too. I mean, it's basically everyone has their own showcase. Everyone has this, and there's so much news coming at you. It's really everybody's screaming in the room at the same time, and then you pick it apart. So nothing really gets highlighted except for maybe a few major things, and then it's dead silent until the Game Awards in December.
Right.
So Gamescom and Tokyo Game Show happens as well, but they're typically not as big. So I think this is the new norm, and I don't know if I will go back to the way it was, but I'm at least happy we have something in September to talk about that's fun and exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
So
I think this is a really cool idea for them too, because it kind of sets them apart, and I think it's kind of smart.
yeah, and this was on Thursday. They said it would be 40 minutes, and they'd be talking about games coming out soon and in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And this truly felt like an E3 showcase. The opening, I mean, highly produced. We got this weird opening. I didn't know what to expect. It was like a weird chess match between two kings, and then you had all the pawns and the players. Almost felt like a Grand Theft Auto type. I thought it was Saints Row, to be honest. They didn't do Saints Row coming out. Like, is this Saints Row? But nope, it was PlayStation. And they tend to do this. They do this very, what's the best way to put it? Almost, they're reaching. It's almost like they're trying to show through aspirational means what it means to be a PlayStation fan. It's play has no limits.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Which I don't know if they achieved that or not. I don't know. Did you take anything away from it?
It's not as good as other play has no limits ads or material that they've put out, but and I didn't get that from that. Honestly, I thought it was a little too long and a little too okay, well, let's get to what we're here for. But that's just me. The stuff that they've done, the 30-second spots on TV, way better than what I saw in that. So
yeah, there was one guy. I remember it was part of the players or whatever. Had the guy who was like the weapons master for all the PlayStation games, and you could see Kratos' weapons, everything. I thought that was great too. They did the Kevin. Sony has had a long history of really good advertising.
Yeah,
less. But I think they've gone away from the humor now and gone more into the more high end, which I think is part of Sony's branding. Sony wants to be the premium gaming experience. They don't want to be the cheap one. They don't want to be the value pass. They don't want to be the cheap option. You pay one subscription, you get everything. I think they're still in that they're in the HBO Max versus the Netflix. I think that's where they're going, which is very true with Xbox wants to be the Netflix of games. Sony wants to be the HBO Max of games, where you have premium experiences and you're going to pay more. So that's kind of premium. And Nintendo's just happy fun time adventure hour, like you see those weird Japanese sitcoms and games in the past. They're just doing their own thing.
Sure. Yeah, and Nintendo doesn't even have to advertise at this point. Really, they're there, and everybody knows them, and that's just what they are. So
absolutely, you come for the Nintendo games. If you get anything else, you're blessed.
Exactly.
So Jim Ryan came on. We don't need to talk about Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan really just needs to go away. Nobody really likes him. He's a businessman. He's not. But Herman Hulst made an appearance too. He is the new head of Sony Studios, and that guy's just fun to listen to. He's excited, and he is I don't think he has anything to do with Guerrilla Games, but he was the head of Guerrilla Games, so he knows how to make games. He knows what it's all about, and I think he's German or something like that. So he's a little mischievous too.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
but that was kind of like all the filler we got, which was I thought was great. We didn't have any downtime really. But we kicked things off with basically third-party games. Very quickly, a surprise to everyone, I think, in the regards of where it went versus the fact that this exists, is the fact that we're getting a Knights of the Old Republic remake.
Yes.
Very iconic because you got to see a Sith at the very end, and anybody who's played that game and knows the history knows that Sith and what it means to the game.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
This is made by Aspire, who's basically done remasters of past games. I think the last they did, like the Jedi Knight 2, I think they did Pod Racing maybe. So they brought a lot of those old games back to life, and they are doing this one, but it's a remake this time. It's not a remaster. So they are essentially saying a game from almost 20 years ago probably needs more tender loving care to get it up to today's standards in regards to probably controls, gameplay, visuals, and
Yeah.
maybe voice acting even, because video game voice acting and direction has come so far.
Oh yeah.
Motion
God, yeah.
capture, all of those things that you couldn't do 20 years ago. And they said they're going to be faithful to the game. Now that scared people, like, wait, you're not going to completely remake it note for note? And I'm like, that's not a good idea. Nobody wants the Psycho remake from Gus Van
Right?
Sant, right?
Yes. Nobody wants that. Nobody needs that. If that's what you want to play, go play the old one.
Exactly. It's on the iPad. It's on everything, every device now. Apparently,
Exactly.
the iPad version is like the best because it's. I think Aspire actually remastered that one.
Oh, really? Okay.
But you're playing on a tablet, so there's that.
I mean, Paul and I played the original. I think it was last year for Great Disturbances. We did a couple of episodes where we played through, and he played one path, and I played the other path, and that was one of our complaints, was that it felt a little clunky, even though the story was there. The story is fantastic, and I'm not going to spoil anything to do with the story, um, but everything else felt a little clunky and a little outdated. And I think this is the perfect kind of refresh that it needs. So.
There's so many people that haven't played this game. It was an original Xbox exclusive. I think you can play it now on Xbox back compatibility.
Yep.
But Disney owns this property. It's no longer owned by EA. It's no longer, so Disney could do whatever they wanted with this property, even though it was on Xbox in the past. It's its own beast, and that's where they are at. And this is the really interesting part: was this game is a console launch exclusive for Sony.
Yeah.
Unexpected, totally unexpected. And people are like, why? I'm like, Disney likes Sony a lot right now. They've done so well with the Spider-Man games, and the other Marvel games have not done so great on other systems. You know, the Marvel Ultimate Alliance on Switch, and then Avengers has apparently not made its money back. And they're like, who do we trust to make great games with our properties? Oh, Sony, our friends. So I think that's
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that's exactly what they're going for. Is Disney? I mean, if you look at what Disney's business plan is, they want to be the premium service for everything. They want to be the premium theme park. They want to have the best possible experience with movies. And who are you going to go to? The guys that do the best possible work on a game. Sony Interactive is producing this game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be exciting, and I will be honest. I played this game back in the day. I got stuck and I just walked away from it. So I don't know all the story beats. I've heard so many good things about this game. I kind of know all the story beats, unfortunately, but it doesn't mean that, and I'm not one of those people like, oh, it's been spoiled, I don't like it. No, any story worth experiencing and having spoilers that are awesome is a story still worth experiencing it. I always said this. True. It's like somebody saying, oh, I never saw Empire Strikes Back, but I heard what happened. You should still watch it.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Because it's just so hard to avoid spoilers nowadays, that would limit your enjoyment of anything to a certain extent. So, you know what, folks, jump in. There's a reason why this game is lauded as one of the best. And now more people will finally get to play this. And I bet more people will play this game now than ever have paid in the last 20 years. So,
oh yeah. I'm super excited about it. And now I have a question. So it's a Sony console exclusive on launch.
Correct.
Does that mean that it will eventually come to Xbox, or does it mean that when they launch the game, it'll launch on PC, but the only console that it'll be available for is PlayStation, and that'll be going forward?
Great question. I know there's that line: is a PC a console or is a PC a PC? Right. So
Right.
typically, console exclusive means it's just it's Sony, it's Microsoft or Nintendo. In this case, if Sony is publishing this game, there may be more complications to this, and maybe it means that this doesn't come to Xbox. Maybe it comes to Switch. I don't know, but it's also
Ooh.
coming to it's being remade for PS5, so Switch can't handle games like this.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so they can handle a PS4 game, a PS3 game, but yeah. So my guess is like Sony has that now with Final Fantasy VII Remake. That eventually is going to come to other consoles, but it's like as of right now, it's been over a year, so it could be a year, 2 years. So if you want to wait and hope it comes, you're going to have to wait probably at least a year before you even find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, no release date for that game. So very exciting. Project Eve, this game, everyone, when they saw this, it's from a South Korean developer. People thought this was maybe another Nier Automata game. No one really knew. It looks like a Devil May Cry entertaining action, or they call it like pleasurable action game. I don't know what they even call it, but it's very
Hack and
stylish.
slash.
Oh,
Yeah.
stylish action is what they call
There
it.
you go.
That
Stylish
like
action.
you kill a lot of things with a lot of style and panache. Female protagonist. And it says Project Eve is an action adventure game that takes place in the not too distant future on the ruined Earth against unknown enemies. Very pretty, very stylish action, but beyond that, I know nothing else. I just played a game very similar to this that I think it was it Crimson? I can't remember the name. It was a game by Platinum, I think, or no, Namco Bandai, Crimson something or other. But it was a very anime action adventure game. I liked it, but the story just definitely like. Really, but oh well. Any reactions to it, Rich?
This isn't exactly my type of game, although I'll walk that back a little bit when we get to other games because I do kind of like that hack and slash, um, format. But I think I'll end up playing it eventually, but I think that it's something that I'll wait for a little while before I end up getting.
Yeah, definitely wait for the reviews. I think is a good stance on that one. Very quickly, yeah, we'll go through these a little quicker till we get to the meat of the show.
Sure.
Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. This is Borderlands with D&D.
Yeah, that's what exactly I thought. I thought it was Borderlands. It was just it has the same animation style. I mean, which is
It's
cool.
by
I
that
love
studio.
that.
Yeah, it's by that studio, and Tiny Tina did it in an expansion with D&D characters before, and I think this is just fully embracing that, and I think it's funny, and it's D&D with guns too.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Next, we've got an exclusive, Forspoken. This game was shown before. I think this is a Square Enix game, I think, but it's exclusive to Sony. And the cool part is this is written by Gary Whitta and Amy Hennig, who are fantastic writers. Gary Whitta wrote, I think he was part of Rogue One, maybe. I think he was one of the writers on that.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic writer, does comic books, does everything like that. But yeah, and this game, it looks like this woman is basically transported to a fantasy land, has special abilities with a talking bracelet.
Yeah.
And it just looks cool. The movement is awesome. I really think this looks like a PS5 game, finally.
Yeah, it definitely looks cool. It made me think of what's it called? Infamous. Do you remember the old Infamous?
Oh,
game?
yeah, definitely the movement type. Yeah,
yeah, that movement made me think of that, and it got me excited. I mean, honestly, that's why I'm a PlayStation fan, is because I want to see games like this, and here we have another one. So I'm all in on this.
It reminded me of Green Lantern, where she basically made her bracelet become like like a machine gun, essentially shooting magic bullets. Which I'm like, that is so cool. Yeah, why not? Yeah. Yeah, so that's coming in spring 2022. Very cool. Alan Wake Remastered. I don't know what else to say about Alan Wake. It is a fantastic game. Only been on Xbox, previously and PC, but now it's coming to PlayStation. This is remastered. Oh, wow. It almost makes me want to play it again.
Yeah, I'll go back and play it again. It's been, God, I think I played Alan Wake when it first came out on the 360. So it's been however long that is. Nearly 20 years, probably. Well, no, Xbox was 20.
Well, 360, right? Probably like 15 or 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, 10 or 15 years. It feels like forever because of the differences, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I love a good horror game, and this is probably top tier horror game for me.
Yeah, it's Stephen King video game. That's the best way to put it. It's really cool. Or Twin Peaks. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Grand Theft Auto 5 is back, remastered PlayStation 5. If you haven't played, I've not played Grand Theft Auto 5. I think I played a little bit. Maybe I'll finally dip in, but that's like me saying, why has it taken Todd 13 years. Nobody knows, or whatever it's been. Yeah, who knows?
Grand Theft Auto 5 has been remastered almost the same amount of times as Skyrim.
Oh
It's going
God,
to be on
yeah,
fridges here soon, right? It's going
yeah,
to be on
and
those
it's
little
amazing.
fridges for Steam.
We've gone 2 generations essentially without a new GTA
It's
5. But you know what?
ridiculous.
It
It's
is what it is.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Next though, we've got Ghost Rider. I thought it was Ghostwire Tokyo, but maybe they screwed it up. It is Ghostwire. They put Ghost Rider Tokyo in the article. Very funny. Bad editing. But this game is by Tango System Works, it's actually Bethesda studio that now Xbox owns. Weird that
Ooh,
they had a deal in a place before though. But
right.
this game, the company that does Evil Within, so very weird Japanese horror. But this one looks almost like a first person supernatural martial arts game,
Yeah.
with a very weird storyline, and I think it looks cool. I'm all down for this game. I can't wait for this type of style. I loved Shadows of the Damned, which was I think by the same studio back in the
Okay.
day. So I'm all for this game.
Okay. I've never experienced anything like what this looks like. So I mean, I'll have to see. Maybe it'll eventually come to PS Now. Would probably not, but um, or it'll come down in price enough that I'll pick it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
It didn't
Then
grab.
Yeah, I think I've gotten that from a lot of people, but for me, it just seems like that's my wheelhouse. Those games that are almost like B tier, but just really do something a little bit different. So I'm
Oh,
all for it.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. If you're into this game, you know by now this trailer wasn't going to do anything to sway you. I'm
Right.
all in this game. This looks like the Avengers games I wanted, which is a truly a single player game. It may not be the character you want to play as, but to me it looks
Right.
fun and it looks like it's capturing the heart, but also the art style of the comic versus the movies, which people are like complaining. But I'm like, I love it when they go after the comic style.
Yeah, me too. Definitely. Definitely. Plus, Novacore is in this. Are you kidding
Yeah,
me? The
yeah.
Novacore. We might get Richard Rider out of this. How
Oh
cool would
yeah,
that be?
very cool. I just love how you can expand and go into the comics versus wait for the MCU to show you parts of that. So this is where I love when video games can do things differently with these properties than we're getting in the MCU. So
Yeah,
I'm
make it
all
its own
for it.
thing.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. Yeah, Blood Hunt. This is a weird. I don't truly know Vampire the Masquerade how many different variations they've got, but it seems like they
Yeah.
have 85 games. I don't know which one's which, but now we're getting one that's going to be coming out in October, which is like um, it is more of a battle royale game.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah,
I'm not a huge fan of battle royale games, even though I do play, Fortnite. But like in general, battle royale games don't appeal to me at all. But
there's just too many of them now, and most of them
yeah,
fail. So then it's
yeah,
like, are you investing in it? And to be in a battle royale game, you have to invest time to enjoy
right.
it and be good at it. So, but it's there if you like vampires in different roles and things like that. But yeah, we are getting more clear Vampire Masquerade games next year. So just wait, there'll be another one. It's like what is that? What's that series? Not Warcraft. It's the tabletop game series with uh it's either back in the day or it's future like Space Marines.
Oh,
Um,
Warhammer.
Warhammer, yeah.
Yeah.
So Warhammer has 85,000 games too, and most of them are bad. So same thing here with Vampire the Masquerade. It's a tabletop game, or it's that has spired off in many many tiers. But well, it's coming.
Right.
Uh, then we have Deathloop, which people are hot or cold. That comes out next week. It's by Arcane Games, and this is a game where you're in a time loop. You're an assassin who has to take someone out, but you keep getting killed, and so
Yeah.
you have to get through the time loop or the death loop.
So it's source code as a video game, basically.
Kind of like that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
And time loop games are kind of all the rage with 12 minutes, and I don't want to talk about 12 minutes because I talked about it. Ooh, that game. But yeah, I mean, Arcane makes great games, and they have cool powers and different things like that. So this could be cool. But I'm going to probably get this game from GameFly rather than buy it.
Sure. Yeah. Well, isn't this one of the Bethesda games
It is, yeah, yeah.
that they had a
Arcane.
contract with
Sony
for?
made a deal with them, but it's going to be an exclusive, probably at least a year, and then we'll
Yeah.
go to Game Pass. So if you even just want to wait till it goes to Game Pass, you can do it. Which is a shame because it's like Sony put all this effort and energy, funded it, and it'd be like, oopsie, now Xbox gets it for free, which is funny because like, yeah, we'll take all your hard work and
Yeah.
put a game out there and say it's an exclusive. Oh well, Sony should have bought them. Then we get this weird Kid A Amnesia exhibit. This is Radiohead had an album called Kid A, which was not my favorite game. Um, uh, sorry, album, and they were
Yeah.
making an experience. I don't even know what to think.
Uh, I'm not a big Radiohead fan, so I mean, I guess this isn't really in my wheelhouse.
I don't know who this is for. I mean, I like Radiohead, but I don't love them because I've just not stuck with their
Yeah,
output. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You're right. It is that weird. It is a weird game in that there's no definition to it at all. Like I don't know who would play this.
No, there's very few music games with a band. The last one I can think of that was funny was there was a Kiss video game, Psycho Army or Psycho Circus, I think is what it was
Oh
called.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. There was the Aerosmith arcade game. There
Right.
was the Journey Atari 2600 game, which is so weird.
Wait,
Oh, you need to
that
look it
was
up. An arcade, yeah, Atari
really.
Journey game, yeah, the Journey game. Yeah, you saw like
Oh
Steve
my.
Perry's face,
Oh
which was badly
jeez.
digitized, and I think they had a little bit of music. Really
Oh
weird.
my god,
Yeah,
that's weird.
yeah,
Wait a
you'll have
minute,
to
is
look it
that
up.
the one? Like, I think I've played that game, but I had no idea that it
You
had to
might
do with
have. I mean,
Journey.
if you're, yeah, let's put it this way: it was on Atari 2600. It could have been Journey's full catalog of music, and based on the audio hardware, you wouldn't know.
Yeah,
Don't Stop
right.
Believing sounds like burp, 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 burp. Yeah.
Right, 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 right. No, I know
Yeah.
I've
Then
played that game.
the last non-first party game was Chia. This game looked like Wind Waker, where you could play guitar. It's sandbox. Your little girl, and you could transport your body into animals and navigate the world, and
Yeah,
then transport yourself out of them. It just seems like one of those chill games and just have fun. And the aesthetic made it feel like it was for younger players, but obviously
yeah.
older players can play it too.
It made me think of like Slime Rancher or
Yeah,
Subnautica or something like that.
very chill,
Yep.
not stressful. But if you had a kid and you're like, have some fun.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go. You don't have to worry about swear words or blowing up demons. There you
Right,
go. Have
right.
fun, kids. Then we did kick it off. Herman Holtz came in, talked about first party. And the first one, just I don't understand. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection includes Thieves End, which is Uncharted 4, and
Mhm,
Uncharted Lost Legacy, which both came out on PS4,
mhm.
being remastered for PS5, which I understand now. It just eh, Xbox does a lot of these free masters, as they call it, where it's like we have higher frame rate and higher resolution, but they don't do
Right.
anything else to it. They aren't improving the gameplay. They aren't adding in new features. It's just very much it looks better, is faster.
Yeah.
Where Sony's been still doing this. Yeah, we're going to remaster these things and we're going to charge you for them, which is it's hard to eat, but it is what it is. There's going to be people that have never played
Right.
PS4 before, or they might have missed these games the first time. That's why they're doing it. But the big part is these are also coming to PC. This is the first time Uncharted has ever been on PC. So I think
Oh,
that's the
nice.
major push. And I
Okay.
think PS5 is like an afterthought that they're also coming along there, even though they'll
Gotcha.
probably come out there. So yeah, and yes, you probably own some of these games already if you own a PS5 because of the games collection you get.
Oh, yeah, if you're on a PS Plus member, you get that
I think there's like 18
PlayStation
games
collection.
on
Yeah.
yeah. If you own a PS5, you get like the best PS4 games.
Yep.
So what a bonus, yeah.
Yeah. And
But I
Uncharted, I
think
mean, you sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, and if you're starting with Uncharted 4, which would be a bad place to start, in my opinion.
That is a bad place to start. Are they going to do the first 3
Well,
on
there's already
PC
a
as well?
collection of the first three. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. They that would make sense to do a collection. Maybe
Yeah.
they should have really started with the collection, and maybe that's a future announcement
Well,
before this
yeah.
remaster comes out. Yeah, it's
If you're
weird.
putting
It's
it, yeah, I mean, if you're putting it out on PC and it's the first time some of these people are touching it, definitely Thieves End is not where to start. You don't start at
no,
the end.
no,
And those
definitely.
games are fantastic. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
the
absolutely.
remasters for PS4 were really really good. I mean, and I go back and play them just to play them. It's just the mechanics are fun and the adventure. It's like you're playing Indiana Jones, like a present day Indiana Jones, basically
Yeah,
at
I always
Treasure
look at it
Hunt
this
Island.
way. It was Indiana Jones, it was Tomb Raider, and then it was
Right,
Uncharted, right? Those
right,
that was the curve of where that style of
right.
adventuring went.
Well,
Um,
yeah, and then
yeah,
the Tomb Raider games started to emulate the Uncharted games when they
absolutely.
did that
Yeah, it came
remaster of
full
them.
circle.
It
Yeah,
did.
yeah, and I don't think and we are getting an Uncharted movie, so we'll have Rich. We'll have a comparison. Indiana Jones movies We
Oh
have the Tomb
yeah.
Raider movies, and
Oh
now we'll
God,
have
yeah.
Uncharted movies. So like it's
Oh man.
everything's repeating itself. Yeah.
It
That'd
all
be a future
everything
topic
feeds
on
on
your
it.
show right there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna
The
go there.
game based on the movie based on the game. And they'll be, yes. And please do not put Marky Mark or
Oh God.
Tom Holland, their faces into the games, please.
Yeah, please don't. My
Yeah.
God.
It's a bad idea. Oh,
I
well.
can't believe Marky Mark is gonna play Sully.
I just
I,
didn't
I,
understand.
I
They
don't
could have gone so many different places with it.
he's not even that good of an actor. Come on.
No, no. I that's one dude I'm like, how did you get to be so famous?
Underwear. He got to be famous because of underwear.
Apparently. I mean, I loved him Boogie Nights. That's to me his pinnacle of his career was Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
Singing you know, you've got the touch. That's it. That's where it
that
ends.
yeah, that was a weird moment for me. I was like, wait, that song is from the 80s. Did that
Yes. Stan
wait,
Bush.
what are they doing here? So I had to research it. Like later I went and like dug, this was what, 99 or 97 or whatever that movie
When
came
the
out.
movie came out, yeah, and I
And
don't
I'm
remember
trying to
the era of
research,
that. Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to research it at that point, and I'm like, I don't know. I can't figure out if if that song came out prior to Transformers the movie. I have no idea.
That would be weird. You know, it's like, oh, we're gonna take this song that, you know, failed and we're gonna put it in the Transformers movies. I don't know. Yeah, that's a weird one. I think they had finally released the vinyl
Oh
for
yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
so good times.
nice.
Good times. Yeah, then we actually get into the real announcements.
Oh
Man,
man,
oh
oh
man.
oh
This was
dude,
just crazy. And you know, it's kind of funny where I feel like the show right now is kind of that thing. A lot of announcements we've talked about so far seem kind of you
yeah.
know, like I mean, you're either in or you're not. But man, they really ended this thing on a
Oh
high
my
point, in
god,
my opinion. We got Insomniac, who is
yeah,
arguably probably Sony's best studio right now in regards to output on a quality level and the amount of
yeah,
games they are putting out.
definitely.
They are making a Wolverine game.
Hold me back because this is amazing. This is amazing. I'm so excited for this. So excited for this.
Wolverine only has one good game, and it was based on a horrible, horrible movie, Wolverine Origins. Raven Software made that game, and it was amazing. And
It
that's why
was.
I own an Xbox 360 because that game is unplayable. You can't play it on a Xbox One or Series S or X. So that's why I have that game because they don't have licensed
Nice.
games. Yes, and so we don't know what this game is going to be, and we've got this little teaser of a man in a bar, bodies strewn about. And then you kind of come around to him. You don't see his face, but you see his hand and
Mhm.
snicked. The claws come out.
Yeah.
And I know everybody's like, well, they make Spider-Man. He better not play like Spider-Man. He's not going to play like Spider-Man,
No, he's
guys.
not
They're
going to play
not
like
like, these are not
Spider-Man.
rubes off the street. They're saying, let's make a
Yeah.
cheap tie-in. No, once again, we talked about Disney. Disney likes Sony,
Yeah.
and they know they can deliver. And Insomniac
Absolutely.
makes Ratchet and Clank, and then they made Spider-Man.
Right. And Spider-Man doesn't
Totally
play
different
like Ratchet
games.
and Clank, right? So
No,
why would Wolverine play like Spider-Man? That just seems like a silly fanboy jump to make.
it is. It is. I think
This
it's just people, yeah.
this even though we didn't get anything other than a basic, looks like a cutscene to me.
Yes.
This got me the most hyped other than what something we'll talk about here a little later, but um and I went and I looked at some of the I watched this trailer like 4 times. This is in the Princess Bar, which is in Madripoor.
Oh,
This
really?
is
I didn't even notice
Wolverine's
that.
hangout. Yeah.
Ooh, we
If
could
you
get
look at it,
Patch.
yes, we could get Patch. That would be fantastic. But if you look at the menu behind the bar, it says the Princess Bar
Mm,
right on it. And there's a
nice.
couple of other things in here. There's the radio station that's being advertised on a sticker is 1048, 104.8. 1048 is the Marvel. It's Earth 1048 is where the Spider-Man PlayStation games take place.
Oh, so there
So
could be a
this
crossover.
it
Oh,
could be a crossover. And then there's a license plate that says HLK 181, which is Hulk 181. That's where
his
Wolverine made his
debut.
first
Yep.
appearance. Yep.
Hmm.
And then the cash register has $19.74, which is when Wolverine premiered. This
Very
they
nice.
they plugged all kinds of little like bits into this. And
They
I'm so,
made a 10-year-old Rich very happy.
they sure did, man. They sure did. And to just the fact that it's in the Princess Bar, and after this trailer, I went back onto Marvel Unlimited and I started reading like the Chris Claremont, John Buscema Wolverine series again
Oh,
because
yeah.
that all takes place in Madripoor, and it takes place. That's where you start getting introduced to things like the Princess Bar and all that. So yeah, this got me
No
hyped.
release date, but yes, I'm in the same boat. My son's named Logan for a reason, guys. I
There you
mean,
go.
I am a huge
Yep.
X-Men fan, love Wolverine, and I'd be curious who voices him. I've heard David
Yeah.
Hayter might be brought in, but I don't love David Hayter. I think
Sure.
he's okay, but I think his approach has always been very stilted. Metal Gear.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
He was
yeah,
pitching that, wasn't he? Didn't he say
I
like on
think
Twitter or
so.
something that he wanted
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I
I just
think yeah,
I don't know. I just hope it's not Nolan North. I love Nolan North, but
yeah.
I don't think he fits
Or
this
Troy
role.
Baker. I think you
Yeah.
go to someone
Yeah.
else out there, whether it's even an actor who uh, maybe has played him in another game. I can't think of any Wolverine voice actors. Maybe that one from Raven Software was good. I can't
Maybe,
remember
yeah.
off
I
the top
don't
of my.
know.
Maybe it was maybe that might have been a huge Jackman at the time. Who knows?
It might have been. Wait, did he do that? Oh, that'll
I
be
don't
interesting to
remember
find out.
because it was
Yeah.
based on the movie. Maybe he did, but yeah.
Oh
And I
man.
don't want Hugh Jackman either. I want a different sounding Wolverine
Yeah,
and not an
give us the
Australian Wolverine.
yeah, no Australian Wolverine, my God. Oh God.
Yes, that's an old one, but
That's
yeah,
way old, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Isn't that's
So
from that was the original pilot cartoon
yes,
for
Pride of the
the,
X Men, I
Pride of the
believe.
X-Men, that's what it was
Yep,
called, yeah.
yep, yeah. So
God,
Rich and I could talk about comic books all day, and
call back.
he's going to be back in Secret Friends Unite to do that.
Woohoo.
But yeah, let's move on because we are actually doing another podcast after this. Gran Turismo 7 has a launch date, March 4th, 2022. Gran Turismo games, when they come out, it's like Halley's Comet. They only come out like once in a console cycle. Uh, it looks beautiful, but I am not a GT fan or
Yeah, I'm
player.
I'm not really a race car kinda guy, I guess. I've
Yeah.
played Forza. I mean, I like Forza. It's good. But Gran Turismo, I played back when I had a PlayStation 2, and I was like, "Okay, that's fine."
Yeah, it's a simulation.
Not
It's
my
not an
thing.
arcadey game. So if
Yeah.
you're into that and want to know your specific shocks to brakes to torque ratio, that's your game for you. And I just said a
Yep.
lot of things, and I like cars. I really love. I'm a fan of cars. I just not want racing them in video games. Oh well. Then we got a game that I think we all knew was coming, but man,
Mhm.
oh man, I just didn't know we would see it here because Miles Morales just came out, and that's Spider-Man 2. This
Yeah.
trailer, oh my goodness, we are getting Miles and Spider-Man teaming up, taking
I
on a
love it.
thug. Spidey's got his Spidey armor. Is that what
Right.
it's called? The Spidey
I
armor?
Iron Spider?
Iron Spider armor, yes.
Yeah.
And we hear a voice in the background in a alleyway. So it's kind of a diversion because I think I know who the main villain is.
Yeah.
Which, Rich, who do you think the main villain is?
I think it's Venom.
See, I think it's different.
You
I
do?
think it's Craven.
Oh,
Because if
man.
you heard the voice,
Amazing.
it has a very Russian sounding accent. And the voice of and the protagonist, as you said, Venom, we are shown Venom down
Right.
this alleyway, and the voice of that is Tony Todd.
The Candyman himself. I love it. Ah, man, that is some pinnacle casting right there. Are you kidding me? Whew.
And they said in the voiceover says, "I've been hunting."
Oh,
So I
yeah.
think Craven's going to be the one that's pulling the strings, and I think he's actually
Uh-huh.
hunting Venom. My guess is he's hunting Venom.
Oh, man. Craven would be amazing.
He's
What
never
a
been shown. He's not been
yeah.
never been in a movie. He's been very rarely used in maybe the animated things, but yeah, he's been a
Yeah.
kind of a non-player, and he is an excellent character.
He really is. I mean, but and if you play him just the right way, he's going to be really, really good. He can go goofy. I mean, if you watch the old Spider-Man
He's
animated shows,
agile. He's strong. He's
yeah,
cunning. He's a hunter. He's
oof,
a different type of nemesis to the spiders.
yeah, definitely. Oh man. Oh, I hope that's true. Todd, you blew my mind. I wasn't even thinking of that. But I think Venom just took the whole thing over for me.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people were diverged, but I think that's where it's going to be.
Oh
And in
man,
the last Spider-Man game, we weren't aware who was going to be, how many villains were going to be. That movie was steeping with villains. So this
oh, it
one
really was.
will probably have a lot more because there's so many in Spider-Man that they can pull from. He's got a great rose gallery.
Yeah, definitely. And man, that first game was amazing. If they can pull
Oh,
that off
absolutely.
again, and so was
Miles
Miles
Morales was
Morales.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you know what? I'm never going to bet against Insomniac, and they make
no,
the games that I absolutely love. So
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
just sad that we aren't getting. I mean, they're doing that, and I remember when it was Sucker Punch. I originally thought was going to be the one that made the
Oh
Spider-Man
man.
games, and they made a samurai game. So Sony lets their teams do whatever the hell they want.
They made a fantastic samurai game. That game is probably one of the most beautiful games I've ever played in my entire life. And
Absolutely.
story wise, visual wise, oh man, I want. I'm. Man, I'm ready for it. I
I,
want that.
I
I want Sucker Punch to make another Infamous game
we
now.
thought we were going to get one, and folks, we're
Yeah.
getting to the very last announcement, and they didn't. That was kind of one of
No.
my thoughts. One of the rumors we heard. There was a lot of other rumors about what might happen. We might hear about like features for PSN,
Yep.
PS Now. We didn't get any of that at all. This was truly about the games, and like we said, it ended strong with all the PlayStation Studio announcements. And one game that people originally thought we might get this year, which we are not, and I don't even know if they gave us a release date, and that is God of War Ragnarok.
Oh man. Oh man. God of War. I love the God of War series, and
I do too.
I've played every one of them. I played them all. I played all the PSP ones, the
Oh, the
PS,
PS. I need to play those
everything.
games.
Oh man,
I touched on them a little bit, but yeah, never really got into the PSP games. But yeah,
so good. The whole the arc of this character is fantastic, and then to bring him back, and I mean, they basically remade him in the PS4 God of War game.
hmm
But he's still the same guy. He still has that whole backstory. Everything that you played is still canon. And then to see this, it like, man, my buddy Paul, Paul, he's the one that introduced me to God of War. He's like, you've never played God of War, you have to play this. And this would have been on PS3, I think. So it was the
Oh,
remastered
gotcha.
stuff.
So God of War 3 was probably the yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it totally completed that arc once it ended
Oh,
with 3, and then whatever the extra game on PlayStation 3. I forgot what it was called.
um,
God of War
was it
something or other.
Ascension? God of War
Yeah,
Ascension.
Ascension, and then yeah, completely changed because I think they figure out that we've gone as far as we can with that type of Kratos, where he's
Right.
just angry. you know,
Yep.
just
Yep.
you need something to balance him on. Obviously, becoming a dad has kind of balanced him out a little bit, and it's
Yeah.
funny. I'm like, if I get, I want a shirt for Secret Friends that says Todd of War,
God of
and I
War.
and I have I've got the makeup on my face, holding like a beer or something.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude, that is
and a
fantastic.
controller in my hand. Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah. But I want the PlayStation controller on chains.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yes,
Of
like the
course,
Chaos Blades. Yeah,
you've got to. You've got to.
yeah, yeah. It'd be perfect. But yeah, I love that God of War 2018 was my game of the year.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite stories, especially if you're a father. You play that game. It's your journey with your son. You're dealing with the loss of your wife, and the back and forth, especially when you have older children. That
Yeah.
relationship changes quite a bit because your kid's not just cute and fun; they are challenging. They are
Yeah.
growing. They are adapting, and it's really letting them have room but not letting them fall down the cliff of bad decisions
Right.
and also letting them learn from the decisions. And looks like this game is following that path where we have Atreus, now a teen,
Yeah.
older. And he is basically trying to figure out more of his past. And he says he wants to know. And he's like, well, what if we are going to have to cause war? What if we are going to have to do this? I mean, we need you to be a general, Dad. And
Yeah.
he's like, I don't want to be a general. And we find this is going to be following Ragnarok. We get winter now is coming to Midgard, and we are going to go to all 9 realms apparently, which is very
Oh,
cool.
awesome.
Which we didn't in the last one.
Right.
And then we are also getting traversal by snow, by dogs.
Yeah.
Using a snow sled, and then I don't know if you noticed, but Atreus looks like he has new abilities. He has like this, like almost like a beast that he can bring forward. That's like almost like a spectral beast
Yeah.
as well. Where before he just used his bows and arrows.
Right. Well,
So that
he
was
didn't know who he was before. Now he knows who he is.
absolutely,
Well, I don't.
yeah.
Should we even spoil that? I don't know if people haven't
No,
played it
I
at
don't
this
think we
point.
should. And
Yeah.
I want to replay this game because I
Oh
forgot a
man.
lot of it. And on PlayStation 5, Rich, have you fired it up? Oh
Oh,
my
that's where I
goodness.
played it. That's where I was the only place I played it. I had never played it on PS4 because my
Oh
PS4
wow. I
had
played it on
died.
Pro.
Oh
That's why I got
man.
a Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
But at
this
PS5, whew,
blew my mind. This was the first game I played on the PS5. When I got that PS5 from you, I started downloading games when I got home, and this was the first one I fired up, and or 2018 was, and yeah, that blew my mind. Just blew my mind.
yeah, so this is coming. We don't have a release date. It might be. I mean, like I said, the first one came out in 2018. The fact this is taking longer, and this is a standalone game. It's not. It's not like a spin. It's not like an expansion or anything. So
Mhm.
I think that's why this is taking longer. It's going to be a full on game. I trust this team. It
Yeah,
has a new director, but they say they do that. They change directors all the time. There's only been one repeat director. And the reason they do that, he says, because we need a fresh perspective and
sure.
viewpoint. If we get stale, and I had to laugh because somebody's like, "Did you see that trailer? They have the same movement types and things." I'm like, Seriously, you watched a YouTube thing. I mean, yes, they're gonna have the same movement because it's the same guy.
Right.
And 2018 wasn't like, oh, he moved so badly in that. No, it's he was motion captured. So yeah.
Well, I mean, think about it this way. Did you not play the first 5 God of War games? Because
Oh
they
yeah.
were all the same movement in those games.
Yeah.
Did you complain about that too? So I
I
don't
think
know.
it's the nitpicks. Yeah.
I think it is. I think people like to nitpick stuff.
Yeah. So that ended the show. It was like a mix of things coming soon and things coming out. Looks like we've got release dates. Spider-Man is coming 2023. So that's
Right.
as far out as we know. That's how as far out as Sony's release calendar goes with their first parties. But I looked and there's like 10 studios that have no games announced yet. So we are going to fill in those gaps. But this was just their
Nice.
opportunity to say some new games, and they wanted to really go big, and they did. So
Yeah.
yeah.
They sure
So
did. Yeah.
yeah, so this, like I said, this felt like an E3 showcase. I don't think they disappointed. I know a lot of people had their hype up for things that weren't even promised, and
Yeah.
that's the misblessing of hype and expectations and rumors where you land. But
Right.
very quickly, Rich, what's your overall like? If you gave it a score and just your thoughts, where did you land out of 10? Uh, we'll call it 10
10
Kratos
Chaos Blades.
pops.
Oh,
10
10
Chaos.
Kratos Pops? Okay,
Yeah.
10 out of 10 Kratos Pops for the whole show, I would say probably a 7 because it started off a little slow.
Hmm.
It started off slow. It had a nice peak with the Knights of the Old Republic thing, and then it was just kind of like, okay, well, these things are coming out until you got to Wolverine. And I think
Hmm.
Wolverine, Spider-Man 2, God of War, those all kind of saved this for me. So I would give it 7 Kratos Pops.
Okay. I'm going to go a little higher because I think they ultimately delivered what they needed to do. Why you need to own a PlayStation? It's because of their first party. And to me, what they didn't do was, oh, that none of the first parties they announced didn't
Yeah,
hit on, except for Gran Turismo 7, which I know that's a huge part of someone's life with PlayStation is Gran Turismo. So
yeah,
that's great. But I was surprised. I was given exactly what I wanted with the games I knew were coming, games I didn't know were coming, like, holy cow, that's cool. And the
yeah,
smaller things, those are just going to be there to kind of fill the gaps when you don't have that big. So I totally get
right.
it. Yes, I wish it would have been banger after banger after banger. I just don't know if that's possible, especially we're still in COVID and things like that.
That's true. That's true.
But considering the level of just polish on this presentation
Mhm.
was fantastic. And we do have a roadmap now, which I think is what we were lacking, which is great. But yes, there was some lulls. I didn't want to see Jim Ryan. The weird start off was kind of like, I don't know. So I'm going to probably give it an 8.5, just because it did deliver. Like, quite honestly, I'm just glad we got this. I did not know if Sony was actually just going to clam up and say, "Hey, you can't buy a PS5 anyway, so shut up and be happy," which it seems like
Yeah.
that's their modus operandi.
Right.
But yeah, yeah. So in this, I think after some bad news last week and doing something like this, I think it re-energizes. And I did a post on Twitter, said, Sony does a lot of boneheaded moves, which sometimes makes me like, why do I even own a PlayStation? And then I remember it's because they make awesome games. Everything
Yeah.
else they do is just distractions and it's stupid. But you know what? This is why I've always owned a PlayStation console, because they make the games that call to me.
Yeah.
The other consoles are great, but I always say this: I view quality over quantity. I'd rather have fewer
Absolutely.
better games than a lot more that are like, it's okay. I don't get passionate about. And yeah, I could play games in my spare time, but as you know, you and I both share a lot of interests,
Yeah.
and you want to spend your time on the best versus the rest.
Yep. Absolutely. I got to agree with that 100%. It definitely is quality over quantity, and that's what made me start. That's what I started thinking as I was watching this. Is that they are definitely still that Sony that we've known for you know 15 years now. That they are going to give us those quality games. It. Yeah. That's why I'm here.
Absolutely. Well, we've run a little longer than I expected, but that's okay. We're going to wrap up now. So, Rich, thank you for joining. This was a pleasure. We'll have you on again when Mark is back, and we'll talk more about things, and we'll find out more about you as a gamer, and you can tell us what you love about the world of games. Um,
Definitely.
yeah. So, and
Thanks for having me, man.
Rich, very quickly, just tell people, because we don't have you in the credits for this. Tell people where they can find you.
Oh, sure. You can find me on Twitter. You can find both of my shows on Twitter. I've got at G Disturbances uh, for Great Disturbances. You can find View from the Couch at View_Couch. We post our new episodes on Twitter every week. And me personally, you can find me at Rich Davenport 73 on Twitter, and you can hear me complain about all kinds of things.
That's the purpose of Twitter, isn't it?
It is.
Absolutely. Well, that's great, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Rich, it was a pleasure as always. Mark, we'll see you back and get your take on this when you return. But with that, as I always say, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow @SecretFriendsU on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.